Welcome to Section 420, Talkin Yankees. So looks like there's a new proposal out there, in terms of when baseball does come back, of restructuring the divisions. Again, it would only be for the season. And a lot of it has to do with this location, keeping sort of teams and families and everything's in certain parts of the country. So what they're going to do is going to jumble. They're going to forget about National League and American League teams, is jumble them all together based on location. So you can have West, Central, East. And in the East, of course, they're going to jumble everyone together. So you can have one division that's going to include the Yankees, the Mets, the Phillies, the Red Sox, the Washington Nationals, all in one league. So how it works is that at the end of the day, let's just say it's a 100-game season. At the end, they're going to take 4 teams from each. So what you can have there is 12 teams viable for the playoffs. Now, the 4 teams that have the highest winning percentages, they get a first-round bye. And then all the bottom feeders under that, they each have like a 1-game, which is called wild card playoff. And then once all the brackets are confirmed, then they'll go to a standard best of 5, best of 7 for the League Series, and then of course ultimately a best of 7 for the World Series. So kind of interesting. A lot of it has to do with just keeping teams in certain parts of the country and not having the airplanes flying over and families and cross integrate and stuff like that. So in that sense, it makes sense. So that's what we might see, and then you'll just have a situation of like the Yankees playing Boston Red Sox in Texas, maybe something like that. So again, obviously looking at empty ballparks. So would have baseball in that situation, but you would have like opposing teams playing in ballparks and that used to. So it would be kind of funky, interesting to watch. And again, if it's just for one season, we'll take it. So this episode, we're going to bring on Joe Morley from the Joe Morley Podcast. He covers MLB as well as football, but we're here to talk a little baseball. So let's bring him on. Hey, Joe, thanks for coming on to the show.
Hey, James, thanks for inviting me on here.
No, it's a pleasure. Now, you have the Joe Morley Show podcast available, of course, on YouTube, as well as you're on Instagram, Twitter as well. So when did you start the podcast, and what was the inspiration to start talking sports?
Well, I've always had the inspiration to talk sports. It just never occurred to me that people actually wanted to listen to me until lately. So growing up, I grew up in a family with 3 girls, and of course my dad wasn't a big sports fan. So I was like the only one that listened to sports or watched sports. Then I married my wife who never watched sports. And so they finally got tired of me always telling them stuff and telling them stats. And they're like, we don't know what you're talking about. You need to find people that know what you're talking about. So I decided to start this. I only started maybe about a month ago is when I actually went full go. And I started going, and man, it's picking up steam, and it's rolling pretty good. So it's a lot of fun.
Cool. Now, I see you have the Dodgers shirt on, so we'll let it slide because we're not in the baseball season yet. So are you a Dodgers fan?
Yeah, so that's why I had to wear it today, just to give you a little, give you Yankee fans a little rub. You guys already have your championship, so I have to at least put a T-shirt on or something. But yeah, I'm in California, so it's born and raised a Dodger fan over here.
Cool. So yeah, I was just going to ask you where you're actually based out of. So you're based out of California then?
Yeah, I'm a couple hours north of Los Angeles. So baseball over here is a big deal.
Awesome. Yeah, I just think it's good for baseball just in general when the Yankees go out there, it's a big, like those games are great at Dodger Stadium and vice versa. There's a lot of, at Yankee Stadium, you see a lot of the Dodgers. I think both fan bases has traveled heavy, and it would have been great, going back to 2017, obviously that World Series was Dodgers Astros. Really should have been the Yankees, because now we're finding out the Astros, they had a little help getting to the World Series. But if we could have had a Dodgers-Yankees World Series for 2017, I think that would have been phenomenal.
Yeah, even though I think the Yankees would have probably killed the Dodgers. I mean, being a realist, the Yankees had a great team that year. But that technology with the Astros is just something that is going to tarnish baseball for a while.
Yeah, but the Dodgers got a good squad. They got a good unit. So obviously you have to be happy with them. But in terms of just getting back to fan bases, now obviously you cover a lot more sports. Seems like NFL as well as baseball. So who's more annoying, Cowboy fans or Yankee fans?
Oh, that's a tough one, because they're both built right. But the Yankee fans, I can respect Yankee fans a lot more, because they have those 27 championships to back up, their talk. They always have those great teams. The Cowboys, they're probably more annoying because their teams don't make the playoffs as often as the Yankees. They're not as good as the Yankees. So I'd say probably Cowboy fans are more annoying.
Mm. Yeah, well, yeah, but I always find that, for some reason, a lot of Yankee fans for whatever reason, even though they're in New York, they also happen to be Cowboy fans. So there's I don't know, there's some sort of lineage there. But obviously for me, Yankees, Giants. So, and that should be the case. And in other parts of the city, Met fans, they typically Jet fans. But once in a while, there is a chunk of Yankees fans for whatever reason. They have to be Cowboy fans, and it's just like,
Yeah, it's weird the two sports to see the different teams, like how people like a baseball team and then they like a football team. I know like out here, the big team is like you're a Dodger fan and you're a Raider fan, or you're a Dodger fan and a San Francisco 49er fan, which are like two different things. Like you can't be a Raider fan and mix with the 49er fan. So it's kind of weird the teams that people are drawn to.
Yeah, I think a lot of it has to do with family and tradition. But now, for a second, let's just focus on this baseball season. Looks like we would have some type of baseball, but it's going to be short. But in your mind, I mean, should they even bother having a season if they can't, if it's going to be like under 100 games? Or, I mean, what's your take on it?
I would love baseball back. I mean, they just had the NFL draft, and it pulled in the most ratings, of any sporting event or anything, in a long time, just because people are stuck inside their – everybody has to be getting bored right now. So I would love a baseball season back. I don't care if it's 20 games to 100 games. I'll watch whatever they put on TV. That's just me. So if they could bring it back and they come out of a 10-team or 10-team division thing, if they want to do that, I'm down for it. I mean, I think they're kind of favoring the Yankees with that 10 teams right there. But I mean, I'll watch baseball, but you got to think a shorter season would favor some of the non-dominant teams. I would think maybe like the Cincinnati Reds, who have a great starting pitching, a good lineup, and if they don't have to go the whole long stretch, they could be able to stay healthy and be a great team. And this might actually be helpful to them.
Yeah, I mean, that was kind of my problem too with the short season, is that there's really no makeup time, because like if you don't get up to a great start, you can't say, well, we'll just get better in the second half. Well, it's a short season. You're not going to really have a second half. So we could see a situation, I think, like the Cincinnati Reds, the Brewers, or, even like the Blue Jays. If you get up to a great start, and then like your more dominant teams, whether you're the Yankees or even the Dodgers, if you don't get up to a great start, you don't have any catch-up time. So you could have like a $70 million payroll team going all the way. Meanwhile, you got like these Yankees and Red Sox, these big $200 or $300 million teams that they didn't get a great start and not even in the playoffs. I mean, I think that could happen this season. That's kind of my only weird part about it.
Yeah, of course. Like, I mean, they had a little bit of spring training. They were getting ready. They were getting hot, and now nothing. So they're going to have to get ready again. But like you said, I mean, I would, in a short season, I would favor the underdogs. Another team to favor would be like the Oakland A's. I mean, it'd finally be that one time that they can match up with everybody. But one injury, and your season is probably going to be done in a short season. And like I said, in one of my earlier, I said it on my Instagram about the Yankees, maybe a shortened season and this little break right now is helping the Yankees because it's helping a lot of their main stars get healthy again. So when the start of the season does start, those guys will be ready to go. But if they go down, it's going to be that short season where they can't catch it back.
Yeah, totally. Like the way the season was panning out, obviously Judge was going to probably start the season on the DL. Stanton was going to start the season on the DL. But like I said, this recoup time, it is going to benefit them that when they do get back, at least they can have their full squad there to go to battle with.
Yeah, and that's the key for any major team like that. I mean, the Yankees and Dodgers are known for their depth, but you always want to go 100% start of the season.
Now, in terms of the season itself, again, you talk football as well, and I feel like the NFL is like one of the most powerful forces in the country. Obviously, it dominates everything, dominates baseball. You think there's any risk of delaying the football season? Because I mean, that has to do with like everything, fantasy, gambling, there's so much depending on NFL. Do you think they're more willing to take a risk with starting the NFL earlier than in terms of starting baseball early, where they're being very precautious? I think with the NFL, they want to get that going right away, just because again it drives so much in this country.
They haven't delayed anything yet. If you look at the way the NFL has been going, they started free agency on time. They started the draft. I mean, of course, they didn't do it in Las Vegas like they wanted to do the draft, but they did it virtually. They haven't delayed anything. They're doing their off-season programs online right now. So every player is able to sign on and talk to their coaches and do all that. So the way it's looking is I don't think the NFL is going to stop doing anything. I guess they're already President Trump's already meeting with most of the commissioners and stuff. So I think NFL is still a good 3-4 months away from training camp. So I don't think it's going to affect them. It might affect them in certain states like out here in California. I know in Los Angeles, the mayor of Los Angeles was like, we don't want any sporting events until 2021. So they might have issues with some states where they have to figure out where they'll move some of the teams. I mean, same thing with baseball. They might have to play, in a different state or for the year or for a couple months. But other than that, I don't see football going away. Like you said, football is not. I mean, you always hope that baseball is America's pastime, is what they always say. Baseball is America's sport, but the ratings and everything show that football is dominant.
Yeah, it's not even close. Like an NFL Monday Night Football game will dominate a baseball playoff game, anytime and it could be like two mediocre teams playing on Monday night, but in ratings, I'll always do better than baseball. It's just the way it is. So, I mean, I don't think they're going to mess with the NFL, especially once we get to like August, September. I think we'll be able to open up more as a country. So the timing has to do with it as well. Now, in terms of fans in the stands, I mean, like Dallas, for example, that stadium holds 100,000 people. Are they going to put 100,000 people in, with all this stuff going on, social distancing? It's tough how they're going to handle that.
Yeah, that's going to be the toughest point. I mean, what are you going to do? Remove seats or everybody sit one seat? It's going to be tough. Or, even in an empty stadium, now you're taking home field advantage away from most teams. And, I mean, it's tough to say. Like in baseball, if you take the fans out, who's going to have the advantage? It would be the Astros, right? Because this was supposed to be the year of the fans booing them and going all crazy on them. So it's going to be interesting. I know they played, 9 years ago, they played that game in Baltimore without the fans. I don't know if you watched that one. I forget who the Orioles played, but they didn't allow any fans in that stadium because of the riots that were going on.
Oh, yeah. I remember that.
And I remember watching that game, and it was just like eerie, weird, like the sound. I mean, you got to hear every sound off the bat, which is great if you're a baseball fan, but it was just weird seeing just baseball with no fan interaction. Yeah,
and I think in some cases, I mean, it'll hurt, but I think in some cases it might help because I think some players that get very scared or edgy at the plate, but if there's no fans like booing or on top of them, I think they might be even more relaxed. So I think in some cases it might even help players who would just maybe they buckle under the pressure. But if the stands are empty, maybe they're going to be a better hitter. So I think it's yin and yang, kind of how it affects the players. The fans are going to be interesting. Like I said before, like how are you going to space them out? Like, all right, I paid money for this ticket, so-and-so. Well, if I can't sit in my seat, who gets that seat and you're going to refund my money? So I don't know. I just think either you have no fans or everybody. I don't know how you could do it halfway.
I'm dealing with the fact that the Dodger Stadium was supposed to hold the All-Star game this year. They did a whole bunch of renovations. They did they knocked out the whole outfield and put a whole new shopping center, and they connected some of the stadium together. So opening day was supposed to be a big deal in LA this year, just to see all the new buildings and the new renovation and get ready for the All-Star game. And now that's in question right now too.
And, just with the Dodgers a little bit, I know like Magic Johnson was involved with the ownership group. Was there like some turmoil or some issues going on with that? Or, was that a couple of years ago? It seemed like in terms of ownership, he was involved with it. And maybe he was looking to pull out or somebody was going to buy him out. Wasn't there something going on with the Dodgers there?
I don't know about the turmoil. I know he's never really he doesn't own as much of the team as people believe he does. I think he only owns like maybe 2-3%, if that. But they just use him, more as the face to go talk to the free agents, to go talk to the media, just to use him just as that LA kind of face. So when you show up to LA, you're like, oh, that's Magic Johnson. You kind of get that aura of Magic Johnson that rubs off on you, and then you're like, yeah, I want to play here. I want to help the Dodgers out. So I don't know about that. I know he when he went through that problem with the Lakers, he kind of stepped back a little bit, but I don't think it affected his standing with the Dodgers.
Yeah. And speaking of other great basketball players, I mean, you guys got LeBron James out there. How is he perceived? How was he, was he, obviously, he's a little older, but he's still probably pound for pound the best basketball player in the game. But how is he seen in LA? Is he the guy, or is he kind of a bit of it? Yeah, he was good a couple of years ago. He's just kind of it's LeBron.
So I think major basketball fans know, if you're a top basketball fan, you know that, hey, LeBron only came out here because it's the end of his career. He's trying to get more stuff going for a post-career. Yeah, he's still at the top of his, top game. He's probably lost a step or two, but, I mean, LeBron losing a step or two is still, a great player. So, the great basketball players know what he came out here for. The occasional fans are going to say, yeah, LeBron James. But out here in L.A., it's hard because you got to compare him to Kobe Bryant, which is, Kobe Bryant is right there next to Michael Jordan of all time. So, depending on who you are, I grew up in LA, around LA. So I rank Kobe Bryant ahead of Michael Jordan, which is a very odd and unpopular opinion. A lot of people would not agree with that one, but that's just the way that LA fans, grew up. And a lot of LA fans will tell you that Kobe Bryant, then Michael Jordan, then LeBron. So LeBron's already in that shadow of Kobe Bryant, which is hard for him to get out of.
Yeah, I always feel like Kobe is in a tough spot, in terms of his legacy. Okay, he's not Jordan, but I think he also the time Jordan phased out, and then we got LeBron. Kobe was kind of in the middle there, and I think he's almost like the middle child a little bit. Talent-wise, possibly could be as good as LeBron, maybe better in certain ways if you think about it. But I just think in terms of just the timing of it, because even though Jordan was on his last years, it was still Michael Jordan. So obviously Jordan gets sort of that sort of coverage and accolades, and then you have LeBron as this phenom coming straight out of high school. So I always felt Kobe got a bit of a bad breakdown, and also with those championships with the Lakers, again he was with Shaq for most and Phil Jackson. So I just felt like Kobe only had only a certain amount of time to sort of be on his own, get his own sort of platform. And again, I just think it hurt a little. I think he just gets overlooked, like you say. He is phenomenal. But everyone points to either Jordan as LeBron as the best, but really Kobe's right there in the middle. It's just I just think because all the notoriety and all the attention goes to someone like Jordan and LeBron behind him, and Kobe's kind of stuck in the middle there.
Yeah, and you're right, and like you said, it just depends on the part of the country that you're in or what you watched at that time and who you're rooting for, who you think is great and how your rankings go.
Now, and in terms of, obviously it's, switching topics, in terms of football, I got into that earlier, because it's just such a big story, Brady leaving the Patriots. I mean, were you shocked by that, or was it, or, what were your thoughts when you heard that news?
I wasn't shocked when he actually left the Patriots. I know they've been talking about it since last season, that are rumored that he was going to leave. So it looked like more and more that he would leave. Was I shocked that he picked Tampa Bay? Yeah, a little bit. When I thought he was going to maybe come out here to the West Coast and go to the Chargers. And it came out that those were the two teams that were fighting over him, Tampa Bay and the Chargers. But I guess his tie with Derek Jeter down in Florida and Bill Gates is what made him go down there with his little business. So, I'm not surprised that he left. I'm just surprised the team that he picked.
Yeah, it was kind of out of nowhere, Tampa. But I think clearly whether maybe Florida or California, I think he was just tired of the cold weather, so he just wanted to go somewhere warm. But I also think that with quarterbacks, some kind of tradition. I just always think it's something special when it's one quarterback for one team his entire career. And we've seen it with other quarterbacks, Joe Montana. We've seen it, Joe Namath, play a couple of years with some other teams, and you see him in a different uniform. And I don't know, I just think it hurts their brand overall. I don't think he needed to do that, but again, he wants to play to 45, so I guess it's about proving a point.
Yeah, he has the Super Bowl rings. He has everything that he could have had. The only thing he could be playing for is more money, but he doesn't even need that. And because if you look at what Tom Brady did over his time with the Patriots, he always was the guy that took that pay cut. He never made top quarterback money, and this will be the first year that he's actually doing that. So I don't know what his goal is, to prove that maybe he doesn't need Belichick, maybe he doesn't need the Patriots, that he can still win without it. But I don't see it happening. Every time a good player goes from one team, after dominating so many times, and he goes to another team, it usually doesn't pan out pretty well for them.
Yeah, I mean, it'll probably be awesome, but again, maybe get to the playoffs somehow. But in terms of getting to the Super Bowl, I think that time is done for him. So, just switching real quick back to baseball, I saw one of your episodes. You discussed, you floated out the possibility for Joey Votto. I mean, are we looking at a future Hall of Famer? I mean, what were your thoughts on Votto? Because you look at his numbers. I'm obviously some time to go, but in terms of his batting average, lifetime, he's over 300. So, definitely have some qualification there. Former MVP, 6-time All-Star. And what are your thoughts on Joey Votto?
I mean, that Joey Votto to me was I say he is a Hall of Famer. I say he will be a Hall of Famer. I mean, he still needs a couple more RBIs. I think he's sitting at. I have him at 944 right now. So I think if he can get over that 1,000 RBI mark and continue to hit, at least 300 the rest of his career. I don't know how long he's going to play. He's 36. So I would say, another 2 to 3 years? I mean, it seems like he's been getting better as the years go on. And he's been getting, like, they did a big old story on him getting, losing weight and getting a lot more shred and all that. So he's getting a lot better. He's not going to put up the home runs like we want to, but, like, you see all these big boppers. Like, I compared him to Jeff Bagwell, Frank Thomas, and Jim Thome. Those are your big home run guys. When you think of home run guys, that's who you think of. So those guys they killed them in the home run stats, but everything else, Joey Votto was right there with them or above them. So I say that Joey Votto is a Hall of Famer, and he should be a Hall of Famer once his time is up.
And speaking of stars, obviously out in Los Angeles, you have Mike Trout, but he plays on the Anaheim Angels. I guess they're called Anaheim Angels, and it's like the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim, and they change the name every year. But gives a little insight on Anaheim because obviously got new manager now, Joe Madden. Obviously, he's usually pretty good at putting a team together. Obviously, he built up the Tampa, he built up the Cubs, and looks like he's there to finally turn around the Angels. I mean, they've kind of been in the doghouse for the past 5 seasons.
Yeah, they're looking like a good team. Like, I was going to put my ratings up, and I was going to put the Angels as one of the top teams. I mean, they're in a tough division. They got the Astros and the A's that they got to put up with, but I think the moves that they're doing, and you have Trout, and you still have Upton. Upton's not at the top of his career, but he's still there. Pujols is nothing. I think the trade that they should have done and they backed out of was the one for Jock Peterson. I think that would have helped them out tremendously, gave them another starting pitcher and a home run guy like that. So I think, and then of course they got Rendon. They just signed Rendon for third base, Anthony Rendon. Yeah. So that's a big guy to put right there with Trout. So Trout should be having an even better year. I mean, I always give Angel fans a hard time out here and saying, they need to get rid of Trout and let him go somewhere where he can win a championship. But, they're making the right strides, and they're going to move into the right direction.
Yeah, and with Madden, they're going to be a much better team in terms of fundamentals. And, the Angels were always a nemesis for the Yankees. I mean, they bounced the Yankees in 2002. They bounced the Yankees in 2005. Finally, the Yankees got revenge in 29. But the Angels, for some reason, always seem to have the Yankees number. So when I saw Madden was going to the Angels, like, oh, here we go again. But as I said, they are in a tough division, kind of dealing with the Astros, dealing with the A's who are kind of up and coming. And in fact, they almost landed Garrett Cole. And that supposedly the reason the Yankees had to go a 9th year on Cole's contract is because he was really considering the Angels as well, because they got a lot of money and they were looking to bring Cole in just to get that, rotation.
Yeah, and that's what seems to be the problem with the Angels year in and year out the last couple of years is their starting pitching. I mean, if they can get their starting pitching under control, they'll be competing with these top teams. But like you said, out here on the West Coast, we love when the Yankees come out. It doesn't matter who they're playing. If they're playing the Giants, the A's, the Angels, the Dodgers, the crowds are going to show up just for that. I mean, in San Diego, probably not, because San Diego doesn't have that fan base like anybody else. San Diego would probably be full of the opposing teams all the time. But, I mean, yeah, when the Yankees come out here, it's a big deal no matter what their record is.
Yeah, and I saw your projections, and I was very happy with it. Even though in a short season, you had the Yankees at least ahead of Tampa in the AL East or whatever's going to be the East. We don't know the restructure this. So very happy to see that. But Tampa's, but I think Tampa's going to be tough too because, they were kind of right there the whole way. And they have like a payroll of $40 million, and they just put together these teams of just like other players, kind of scrappy players, and they just pick the right guys, and got these young pitching where, again, it could be a situation like maybe they did, with a short season, maybe they rise to the top, and maybe we're seeing them in the World Series.
Yeah, and Kevin Cash is a great manager down there, and he gets those guys playing for him. I don't know if he tells them like, hey, your team didn't want you, but we got you here, and you need a ball out here, and that could be his MO right there. But he gets those guys playing for him, and that's a great team down there.
And not only that, they might even have like a home field advantage because let's say, with baseball, they're looking to play in Florida and Arizona and those places. Well, technically, Tampa could be a home team. And I hate that Tropicana field. It's a total dump. It's terrible to watch on TV. It's dark. It's dank. And it's just uncomfortable. This feels like you bring out your closer in that stadium, and it just looks like he can't throw a strike. I just hate that stadium. So the fact that possibly, if they could play in their own stadium, they're always the home team. They're used to the dimensions. I think it definitely favors them.
Yeah, and that's true. And you don't have to get the balls, lost up in the ceiling and all that stuff. So it could help out depending on the stadium that they play in.
All right. So, obviously, we got to see when the season starts. Looks like they're projecting June, July-ish, if that's the case. So, again, it's going to put you on the spot here. I know a lot of things have to happen, but right now is the way you see it. What does the 2020 World Series look like? What is your prediction of the matchup?
Well, I'm always going to say Yankees-Dodgers. That's just me. That's the matchup right there. I mean, you got to take the two big guns and put them together, West Coast versus East Coast. And, I mean, on paper, they're the two best teams. So I'm not stretching it at any point, but I would say Yankees-Dodgers would have to be the World Series.
Yeah, I'll take that. All right, Joe. Well, I appreciate you coming on. Again, it's Joe Morley Sports. Catch him on, at Joe Morley Sports on Instagram, well as on Twitter, and, of course, your podcast on YouTube. Again, you just got started with it, so I wish you the best of luck. And, again, at some point in the season, maybe we'll just touch base again. Maybe I don't even know if we'll have an all-star game, but hopefully by October, me and you are in the stands at Dodger Stadium.
All right. Well, I appreciate it, James. Thanks for letting me come on.
All right. Thanks, Joe.